state gubernatorial election gets closer. Parties lobby the citizenry with promises of El Dorado. Also, on political update today, the compilation of a unified social register is in the works to achieve effective intervention programs in the country. Plus, replenishing and restoring depleting environmental assets as key in the nation's economic renaissance. I am Fisayo Ogunfuyi. Welcome. President Muhammadu Buhari says resources will be allocated by the federal government towards the completion of infrastructure projects across the country, especially those being undertaken by local contractors as a deliberate attempt to bolster and sustain the creation of jobs for Nigerians. The president made his remarks during the virtual inauguration of the new headquarters of the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board in Yenagoa, Bayelsa State. That report once
the committee's oversight.
A unified social register is in the works. This is to help government achieve effective intervention programs in the country. The Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs is driving this project.
The committee's oversight is to identify areas that will require legislative interventions in the ministry's 2021 budget proposal and status of projects contained in the 2020 Appropriation Act.
We have not started anything yet. Just the procurement process began by way of advert, which is still ongoing.
The committee required documents on the National Institute for Social Work and National Commission for Persons with Disabilities projects, which were transferred from the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs.
It would be important for us to oversight, the job so that it will be easier for us to appropriate the required funds for all the line items present.
Meanwhile, the committee has oversighted the National Center for Women Development, saddled with the responsibility of providing training and skill acquisition for women and girls. The members and Director General of the Center, Mary Ekpereta, brainstormed on possible legislations against the prevalent issues of rape, molestation, and other acts of violence on Nigerian women.
Now, let's return to the virtual inauguration of the new headquarters of the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board in Yenagoa, Bayelsa State. President Buhari listed job creation as a tool to combat insecurity.
The iconic 17-story building known as the Nigerian Content Tower, with a full complement of a 10 megawatts gas-powered power plant and 1,000-seater capacity conference center, was inaugurated by the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Timothy Silva, on behalf of the President. Addressing participants at the ceremony virtually, President Muhammadu Buhari said the completion of the project reflects his administration's infrastructural development drive towards attracting investment, creating jobs, and further enhancing efforts at lifting millions of Nigerians out of poverty.
With commissioning of this project, I want to highlight that we have put in place a landmark of reference in the Niger Delta to reflect long-lasting legacies that signpost the years of oil and gas exploitation, and I assure you that there is more to come. I must commend the Nigerian Content Board for the successes recorded in the last 10 years since its formation. The edifice is a befitting birthday gift as you mark your 10th year anniversary as a regulator and developer of local content in the oil and gas industry.
describing local content as critical in all activities of Nigeria's national life, especially with the prevailing coronavirus pandemic. The president expressed the belief that production and patronage of goods and services locally are part of the surest ways to empower the citizens and give them viable opportunities to excel in their chosen professions and business endeavors.
Local content and self-reliance are the key principles of the recently approved 2.3 trillion Naira National Economic Sustainability Plan. The plan is aimed at the promotion of local production, local services, local innovation, and the use of local materials. It is imperative that we must produce what we eat and produce enough of our requirements and more for export. All these policy directives and programs are also meant to address some of the causative factors of insecurity.
Already, he said, 2 executive orders have been issued relating to enforcing local content in public procurement and contracts towards further replicating the successes being realized in the oil and gas sector. President Buhari congratulated the people of Bayelsa State for being the proud host of the landmark edifice in the heart of the Niger Delta.
All right, to the Guba race in Edo State now. The APC candidate Pastor Osagi Izeyamu has flagged off his campaign in Isako West local government area of the state with a promise to revive the economy of the state through what he calls the simple agenda.
Campaign.
We apologize for some still pictures there. Moving on now. Meanwhile, the PDP candidate, gubernatorial candidate in Edo State, Governor Godwin Obaseki, took his train to Edo North Senatorial District.
Train made a stopover at Isako West in Edo North to seek the people's support in the forthcoming election.
When you come from Osobebe, go Ofuko, go Agbabu, go Udoti. Una want that road? Una go get that road.
The People's Democratic Party governorship candidate and incumbent governor of Edo State, Godwin Obaseki, is assuring the people of Onwa East of more people-oriented project if his re-election bid is successful. The PDP candidate and his campaign team also used the opportunity to visit some traditional heads in the locality.
Okay, let's return to Isako West, where the APC candidate Pastor Osagi Izeyamu flagged up his own campaign.
Like a carnival for the supporters of APC who converged on the Auchi Polytechnic Sports Complex to welcome the leadership of the party in the state and their flag bearer.
It's our duty for Edo North and in particular Isako West to pay back.
Pastor Osagi Izeyamu, in his own right, is a man of the people. He's a grassrooter. The people love him.
The quality of Pastor Osagi Izeyamu, being the governor of Edo State, his car will be the limit of Edo State. The Isako, we have shown that Isako is for APC.
Our state not to be progress if security not there. If kidnapping, armed robbers, everywhere full your place, who go come to those states? Don't them put away in all those schools. We are not useless. He can't wait till we are going to do. And by the grace of God, government will train our people. Let us see what they're going to do. The good things is what someone will do. And I'm not saying plenty for this local government. If the man not do well, they are not going to allow stand for you. By the grace of God, those good things we will continue with them.
The APC candidate has been given the traditional title of Isema Hona, meaning this is our own, of the sacred Auchi Kingdom in Isako West Council area. The event held while on a private visit to the palace after the governorship hopeful sold his manifesto to the people of Auchi.
To development issues now, the federal government is promoting the sustainable management of the nation's ecological and forest resources, and to ensure effective implementation, it is partnering with states on monitoring and enforcement. NTA Fireface looks at the economics and the politics of it in this report.
Seeking the collaboration of states is a move by the federal government intended to address peculiar regional environmental challenges and bridge existing gaps between national and subnational governments in terms of project implementation and feedback mechanisms. Environmental challenges like oil pollution, coastal and urban erosion, degradation of mangroves ecosystem, and loss of biodiversity are some issues unique to the South region and formed the key thrust of the meeting between the Commissioners of Environment in the region and the Minister of State Environment.
The concept the state government is running is that a creation of the artisanal equipment which we call coal-fire. We are putting them together to form cooperative societies, and these cooperative societies will now put their funds together and have a stake.
Now, current efforts to mitigate environmental concerns in the South, like the planned National Mangroves Restoration Project and identification and upgrade of sites to the status of marine protected areas, as well as synergy in the implementation of the Ogoni cleanup exercise, were considered in the meeting.
Because in ending coal fire, we'll have to find alternative means of livelihood for our young men of the Niger Delta, and the modular refinery is the way to go. But before then as well, we'll have to talk about the remediation and how to stop the oil spillage, because in them doing the coal fire, they actually damage the pipelines.
States in the region are expected to increase sensitization and awareness campaigns to address flood and erosion in line with resolutions made in the meeting.
One of the promises of the current administration in the restoration or remediation of environments devastated by man-made economic activities is the Ogoni cleanup exercise. The president launched the implementation of the United Nations Environment Program UNEP report on Ogoni land. So how far with the exercise? Dr. Marvin Dekil, project coordinator, IPREP, joins us today on Political Update. And thank you, Doctor, for joining us. But my first question is this promise being kept?
Yes, the president, as you know, came to Ogoni land and made a promise during his campaign that if elected, he was going to remediate the land, implement the report. And true to his promise, that since started. As we speak, we have 57 companies on site, 21, out of which 6 of those sites are now complete. We are moving into the next phase where we'll be doing the complex sites. It's also important that along with remediation, the project is also providing livelihood. Only very recently, we commissioned a fabrication factory for livelihood program. So we are doing 2 things. We are doing the remediation of those sites, as well as we are also providing livelihood. It's important to also state that the Ogoni cleanup project is actually the beginning of the cleanup of the rest of the Niger Delta. So we're developing the template that will be rolled across the rest of the region.
Yeah, NTA has been following this closely. In 2016, we looked at exercise. We went into the communities as well to see what's about. One of the things that struck us at the time was in terms of job creation opportunities that this project will bring in. What can you tell us a bit about this in terms of, originally people of those areas are fishermen, and the oil spill has already, put paid to some of this enterprise. So what exactly is happening at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, restoring the farmlands and the creeks means returning those farmland back to farming. So like I told you, 6 of the sites ready. Those sites are going to be handed back to the farmers for farming. But what is important again is that in course of doing the remediation work, we've been creating jobs. The project itself, in our project office, we have over 200 Ogoni people. The first phase of the job created about 700 jobs as in site for the site labors. But in addition, all of these people, we train them. We now also have indigenous scientists, which we've trained internationally. We've taken to Switzerland. UNEP has helped us to train these people. So we have a team of capable scientists from the region that are now driving the project technically. We are rolling out the next 36. That is going to create another 900 jobs on site. So this is a massive opportunity, both for capacity development for the youths and job creation for the youths. That's what the project is providing in addition.
The entire project has started, has it been a concept of this current administration, or is it a rollover? Okay,
it's important to also note that the report, the UNEP report, was handed over to the government of Nigeria in 2011. It wasn't until the President Muhammadu Buhari came to power that this was actually implemented. So this is a project that is just 3 years old. The first 1.5 years we used for the planning, and we are 1 year plus in the field carrying out remediation. It's important, like I explained, that the interest of the president in the Niger Delta when it comes to remediation or restoring the environment is absolute, and that is indicative in the project, as we are currently seeing delivering these sites. More of these sites will be remediated and handed over back to the farmers for their normal occupation of farming.
Are there any other settlements across Nigeria that are still in danger of having, degradation to this point that perhaps you may also need to give some warning in that direction? And then what are we expecting in the next few phases of this project?
Well, the truth is that the entire Niger Delta have a similar experience as Ogoniland, and that's what I said, that what we're doing in Ogoniland is so important because that becomes the baseline, the template that will be rolled across. Yes, the entire region need this, and we are pleased to let you understand that what we are doing in Ogoni with the support of the United Nations system, it's strong enough and it's adequate enough, it's robust enough, effective enough to be rolled across as we finish.
What's necessitated this interview? We read some of the commendations from the traditional rulers in that area concerning the work being done by the current administration there. But are there any challenges in the execution?
There are expectation challenges. Like I said, the remediation project, the UNEP project, was focused on restoring the environment. But of course, there are other development issues in the area. We talk about water, provision of water, which is one of the things we've just concluded with the procurement process to provide water. People want road, people want hospital, people want so many other things, which is not the direct deliverable of this project. However, we are interfacing with the relevant agencies. For example, the NDDC is on the board of HIPREP, so that we could tap into the development component of the commission into Ogoniland. So there are development issues and perception issues.
The NDDC will be a question for another day, but let's before I let you go, what we know that the experience of the pandemic must have slowed down work to a reasonable extent, but what are we expecting in the next few phases before the year runs out?
Yeah, we're concluding the first 21 site. The 14 site remaining will be completing that. We have 36 sites. We're also going to be completing the sites that were introduced. But what's the most important is that the complex sites, which are the sites that are categorized to have the most contamination, will be coming on board too. Then we will be doing more of the training too, empowering more young Ogoni people, giving them livelihood, including ICT, top-notch training in terms of high-end as well as the low-end. Yeah. We currently undergoing training with UNITA. UNITA, the trainer of the UN, training about 1,200 Ogoni women. That is on, in addition to the commissioning of the processing factory we did recently.
All right. The political aspect of it, of course, has been President harping on local content, talking about creating jobs for the youths, especially in this time. Are you putting that component seriously in the front burner, especially as this is going on, especially at this material time.
This particular project is a project that is driven by the locals themselves. And like I told you, we started by training indigenous scientists to world-class standard. So this is actually an example of the president's intent on local content. It's all driven by the locals with the support of the UN system.
I will be speaking with Dr. Mervyn Dekil, Project Coordinator of IPREP. Before we go, let's take one more, if we can. The House Committee on Public Accounts has visited the National Institute of Petroleum Studies project in Kaduna, which was initially allocated to the National Council for Arts and Culture. This followed a query by the Auditor General of the Federation over the absence of the proposed structure of the NCAC.
2020 with the Director General of the National Council for Arts and Culture, Otumba Olusegun Ronsewe.
This committee have asked me, where is the building? We can't find it. So the only way out is to make this formal report, which I've submitted to the committee.
The allegation is that it was PTDF that destroyed the property.
The verification of information on the appropriated funds for the structure has led to the committee's visit to the site in question. The reason is to ascertain the truth from the Kaduna State government and other parties involved.
If you wanted the entire report with all the coordinates and the location of each and every property on that Petroleum Institute extension, Kajis will avail you with that record.
We have to put our head in order to safeguard the treasury, in order to safeguard public funds.
The committee requested for comprehensive documents from them for further legislative action.
It's just before we go, maybe I'll just give you a quick one before we close. Are there any other collaborations very quickly before we let you go that you might want to mention before we move?
Well, we have collaborations with UNITA, we have collaboration with UNEP, which is providing both technical support. We have collaboration with IITA and SDN. But what is most important again is that we have the able leadership of the Honorable Minister for Environment, Dr. Mahmoud Abubakar, who himself is an environmental scientist. And within the period he's been on board, we've been achieved a few things, quite a lot of it. The 36 sites that we're talking about, the new sites, he just handed them over in February this year. We commissioned the cassava processing factory. We're currently doing the UNITA training, which has been there for, we've been working on this for the past 2 years. And the minister came in and got this delivered.
If I let you go on, we'll probably roll into the next program.
So
thank you very much. We'll continue to keenly watch this. We've been on it. We've brought the DG and Nosdra as well to talk about this a couple of months ago. So we'll put a keen eye on that to see how the phases are going. That has been Political Update for today. Of course, we've been promoting the security special. We'll try and bring that also on Tuesday, of course, with an eye on the Edo and Ondo State elections. Also appealing to political actors to remember all the COVID protocols as they go about their campaigns. My name is Fisai Ogunfui. Thanking you.